Have you ever heard a story of love turning into pure hatred? Of a hero becoming the ultimate villain? Well, today we're diving into one of the most shocking and controversial tales in football history. The story of Luis Figo. Imagine this. It's the late 90s, and at the heart of Barcelona, a Portuguese winger is weaving magic. Luis Figo wasn't just a player. He was the captain, the symbol, the golden boy of Camp Nou. The fans adored him. They chanted his name, wore his jersey with pride, and believed he was one of their own. He was the leader of a generation, a player who embodied the Catalan spirit on the pitch. With every dazzling run, every perfect cross, he wasn't just winning games, he was winning hearts. He led them to 2 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Rey trophies. He was on top of the world, and Barcelona was his kingdom. To them, he was untouchable, a legend in the making, forever draped in blaugrana. But then, the summer of 2000 arrived. And with it, a storm that would shake the foundations of world football. The whispers started quietly at first, then grew into a deafening roar. Florentino Perez, a candidate for the Real Madrid presidency, made an audacious, almost insane promise. If he won the election, he would sign Barcelona's captain, Luis Figo. Nobody believed it. It was impossible, unthinkable. A political stunt, they called it. The 2 clubs weren't just rivals. They were mortal enemies, representing deep-seated cultural and political divides. A player, especially the captain of Barcelona, simply did not cross that line. Figo himself publicly denied the rumors. He posed for a Catalan newspaper holding a Barcelona shirt, reassuring the fans, "I want to send a message of calm to the Barcelona fans, for whom I have always had and will always have the utmost respect." The fans breathed a sigh of relief. Their hero had spoken. The nightmare was over, or so they thought. Behind the scenes, a complex and high-stakes game was being played. A pre-contract agreement had been signed, a multi-million-dollar clause that would trap Figo. If Perez won and Figo refused the transfer, Figo would have to pay a massive penalty. If Perez lost, he would pay for the season tickets of all Real Madrid members. It was the ultimate gamble. And then the impossible happened. Florentino Perez won the election. The world stood still. And on July 24, 2000, Luis Figo was officially unveiled as a Real Madrid player. The photos from that day are iconic. A man in a crisp white suit, holding the legendary white shirt, with a look on his face that wasn't quite joy but something more complex. He had just become the most expensive player in the world, shattering the transfer record. But he had also just committed the ultimate act of betrayal in the eyes of the people who once worshipped him. For Barcelona, the news was a nuclear bomb. It wasn't just a transfer. It was a declaration of war. The love they had for Figo curdled into a venomous hatred almost overnight. He wasn't just a traitor. He was Judas. The man who had worn their armband had sold his soul to the enemy for money. The sense of betrayal was personal, deep, and visceral. Shirts with his name were burned in the streets. The city that had once celebrated him now cursed his name. The heartbreak was immense, a wound that felt like it would never heal. The real test, however, was yet to come. Figo's return to Camp Nou. On October 21, 2000, when Real Madrid traveled to Barcelona, the atmosphere was not just hostile. It was toxic. The noise was deafening, a constant barrage of whistles and insults every single time Figo touched the ball. 100,000 people united in their hatred. Banners read "Traitor," "Judas," and "Mercenary." The stadium, which had once been his stage, was now a cauldron of pure fury directed entirely at him. It was one of the most intimidating atmospheres a player has ever faced. Barcelona won the match 2-0, but the result was secondary. The night was all about the exorcism of Figo, but if that was intense, it was nothing compared to his return 2 years later, in November 2002. The hatred hadn't subsided, it had festered. This time the fans came prepared. As Figo went to take a corner kick, the sky began to rain objects. Lighters, coins, bottles, and most infamously, a pig's head. A pig's head landed on the turf near the corner flag, a grotesque and unforgettable symbol of the fans' disgust. The match had to be suspended for over 15 minutes. It was a scene of pure pandemonium, a shocking display that went down in football infamy. This wasn't just about football anymore. This was a cultural war, and Figo was the enemy at the gates. Meanwhile, in Madrid, Figo's story was one of triumph. He became a key part of the legendary Galacticos team, alongside Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo, and David Beckham. He won the Ballon d'Or in 2000, partly for his performances with Barcelona, ironically. He won 2 La Liga titles with Real Madrid and, most importantly, the UEFA Champions League in 2002, the one trophy that had eluded him at Barca. He was a champion, a global superstar, a winner at the highest level. He had everything a player could dream of: fame, fortune, and a cabinet full of trophies. But a shadow always followed him. No matter what he achieved in Madrid, he would forever be remembered for the transfer. For many, his legacy is not defined by the Champions League trophy or the Ballon d'Or, but by that pig's head on the Camp Nou pitch. He is a legend of the game, a world-class talent whose skill is undeniable. But he is also a symbol of betrayal, the man who crossed the ultimate divide and ignited a fire that still smolders to this day. So, was it worth it? Figo himself has said he has no regrets, that he made the move for professional recognition and respect he felt he was lacking. He sought a new challenge and found incredible success. But in the process, he erased his legacy as a Barcelona hero and wrote a new one, the most hated man in Catalonia. The story of Luis Figo is a powerful reminder that in football, loyalty and identity are everything. It's a game of passion, of love, of belonging. And when that bond is broken, the fallout can be spectacular and everlasting. He is a football legend, a Galactico, a champion, and forever, the man who betrayed Barcelona. What do you think? Was Figo right to move for his career, or was it an unforgivable act of betrayal? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest moments in football. See you in the next one.